This game has an element of financial risk and may be addictive. Please play responsibly and at your own risk.
Good evening, namaskar and welcome. I am Peter Abraham and I welcome you to the India Online Poker Championships 10th edition. We started all the way back in 2015 with a guaranteed prize pool of just 12 lakh rupees, and today we are hosting the 10th edition of this massive event with another massive prize pool of 28 crore rupees across a 118 tournament schedule. There are 6 major tournaments in this upcoming IOPC schedule, which will be live streamed on multiple platforms at the same time. This championship brings tournaments ranging from a buy-in of as low as 550 rupees all the way up to 110,000 rupees. And if that's not enough, then it comes with an enormous leaderboard prize of 1 crore rupees. So that will be split amongst the top winners on that leaderboard. Now, being the Highroller event, obviously there's a lot to play for in terms of prizes. And right up top, there's a sweet 23.25 lakh rupees that's going the way of the winner. And then you've got 15.75 lakhs for second place. And that's followed by 10.5 lakhs for the third place finisher. All the way down, we've got another 3 places to go. Fourth place gets 8.6 lakhs, 6.9 lakhs for the fifth place finisher. And the sixth player on this final table to get eliminated will take home 5.35 lakh rupees. Now let's take a look at the individual players on this table who we are going to see in action very shortly. Leading the pack with 2.3 million in chips is Sriharsha Doddapaneni, who's one of the bright lights as far as the Indian poker talent in this country is concerned. And he has been, in fact, Gutshot magazine ran a poll not too long ago, and he was generally the pick for India's best all-round poker player as voted by the community. This 30-year-old is playing from Mumbai at the moment, and his biggest achievement in the recent past has been the Millionaire Legends title that he won for a sum of 30 lakhs. So he should be feeling pretty much at home in this Highroller event, and that too with the chip lead. Coming up next is Shardul Parthasati, who's playing as Faucet Failure. He too has a stack of 2.3 million. He's won the main event at the Premier Poker League for a sum of 27 lakh rupees. He's been playing for poker for the last 8 years and is also based out of Mumbai. When he's not grinding at the tables, Shardul is also a coach at the Poker Boot Camp, and he likes to call himself a budding poker player, but I think after 8 years in the game, he's more than that, much more than that. And in the top 3 now, we've got Nikita Luther, who's rounding off the third spot with a stack of 1.1 million. Nikita is a bracelet winner at the WSOP, the World Series of Poker, where she took down the tag team event not too long ago. She's also chopped the Millionaire Legends at Spartan Poker, and she's been playing the game for 5 years. She's an ambassador with Spartan Poker. She plays as a Spartan Poker Pro, and she ranks first in the Global Poker Index's list of Indian players as far as women in 2020 is concerned. In fourth place, we have a familiar name in Sagar Chaudhary, aka Strange Play. This 29-year-old player, once again from Mumbai, has got a little over 1 million in chips, and he's taken down several titles at Spartan Poker and other websites as well. A regular player with multiple titles and multiple tournament wins across series, including the last time we did this live stream, which was at the Final Table Series at Spartan. he picked up a couple of titles there as well. Next, we've got Anita Hassanandani, this popular television actress who's playing for the last 3 to 4 years under the handle PokerFace14. She's got one of the shorter stacks at the table, a little over 270,000 in chips. Anita is a Bollywood actress. She's booked in a bunch of television serials as well. And she's been a poker enthusiast, playing across live and online events. She's won multiple titles, one of them being the Destiny event on SpartanPoker.com. Last but definitely not the least is Pulkit Goyal, another well-known face and name on the Indian poker circuit. He goes by the handle Champion Player at the short stack right now on this high roller table with 237,000 in chips. Pulkit has been playing for the last 7 years, and he hails from the north of India, from Bathinda to be exact. And Pulkit is one of those players who is very true to his username, Champion Player indeed. He's won the WSOP event number 5 not too long ago in PLO for a sum of $82,000, and he also won a WSOPC ring for that victory. He's also taken home a Jeep Compass that he took as part of being an IOPC leaderboard winner. So a lot of experience with Pulkit Goyal, and he will certainly want to make sure that he rides that short stack to finish a much higher in the counts than he is at the moment. So let's take a look at the commentators that we have on today's roster for this IOPC event coming up. She came second in the Macau Poker Cup's $9,600 no-limit hold'em event in 2008, and then she took third place in the ANZPT Sydney event, which was the $10,200 high roller in 2009. That same year, she shipped the Macau Cup, which is the $9,400 no-limit hold'em event, and in 2012, she won the Macau Poker Cup's Red Dragon main event, and as well as the Asia Championship of Poker, the ACOP event for $9,900, as well as the $1,100 Deep Stack Championship. Well, the list can go on and on and on, and I am talking about none other than Selena Lin, who is going to join us on this live stream. Her tryst with poker began in 2004, and she's one of the best players on the Asian poker circuit. And along with Selena, we are going to be joined by one of our very own champions from the India Poker Championship. In 2011, he bagged a title at the Poker Guru Tour, and in the same year, he shipped the main event at the APT. That's not all. In the 2011 edition of the APT, he won the Greed event as well. He has won a number of titles along with the High Roller event at the IPC in 2016. And I'm talking about none other than Sangeet Mohan, or Samo as he's more affectionately known on the circuit. Welcome, Selena and Samo.
Thank you, Pete. And hey, Selena, what's going on?
Hello, good to see everyone.
Hi, and finally we are on the final table of the High Roller. So we have a pretty star-studded final table. So Selena, my first question is, how will ICM play a role in these kind of stats? Like we're doing 40, 40, 20, 20, 4, 4.
So, I mean, the way you look at it is that because you have two guys that only have 4 big blinds, right? Especially the guys in the middle, they really, really want to steer clear of the big stacks. That's very, very important. Because the 4 big blinds guys, I mean, you know, they're probably going to last 1 round, 2 rounds. They will have to be forced to shove. You know, the big stacks probably have to make one of those pot odds calls here and there. And, you know, most likely it's whether they double up or they bust. And until those stacks double up, the guys in the middle, they're really just waiting it out, because the big stacks are going to be putting pressure, right? Imagine your middle stack, right? They raise it up. Now, you're talking about these 2 chip leaders being great players.
Of course.
They're going to shove it in. They're going to re-raise them, you know. In these cases, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a correct play. Absolutely. So in those cases, are you going to call it off with your tournament life, even with a hand like Ace-King? Mm-hmm. You know, that's what you're going to be asking yourself. And if you know ICM, that's something that you're not going to be doing.
Absolutely. Basically, I think Nikita and Sagar has the toughest stacks to play, to be honest. Like the short stacks are not really worried about ICM. Nikita and Sagar has the toughest stacks to play. And if we can see who gets position on who, I think position is very, very important, very, very key for Nikita and Sagar on this final table, because if they pretty much they just can't open anymore, because either Shardul or either of them are is gonna three bet Nikita and Sagar without a doubt. Like it's the easiest three bet in the world, right? I mean, they just cannot play back because of the two shortest stacks. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how Nikita and Sagar manage this final table. And how about Sriharsha and Shardul? Do you really think they will go like hard against each other in the beginning? Because both of them are good players and both of them know how ICM work. Do you really think how will they try to play smaller pots, or will they actually go at it? What do you think?
I imagine these two players will be looking to take it to heads up. I think that they're going to probably take turns raising. I think that there's going to be spots where, there's going to be a captain that just kind of goes, all right, these are my pots. You stay out of my way. And I can see some three betting going on.
Of course.
Definitely see there's going to be some three betting. If for example, like Nikita and everything, I wouldn't mind seeing them putting a three betting here and there, because that would actually look really, really strong for their stack size, right? Yeah. And in the event that the big stacks don't really have a hand, they will have to let go of their holding.
The whole idea is that the whole thing, what I want to watch, what I'm really, really keen on watching on this final table is how the middle stacks play. I think this is going to be, because all of them are great players, this is going to be a lesson for anyone who's watching on how to play a final table where ICM is a huge factor.
And if we get a character like that on the final table, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, so Selena, another question I have for you is, how do you think the dynamics of the final table would change if one of the shot stacks were to double or triple? And will it affect how the middle stacks are going to play, like how Nikita and Sagar are going to play, or is it going to be similar?
Yeah. So if the short stack double up and there's still a couple blinds here and there, they're going to have almost the same stack as the middling stacks, right? Sure. And now we're seeing a situation where one of the short stacks fall, and then we have a short stack that's almost the middling stack. Now those middle stacks are really forced to fight for it. Those are going to be spots where I can see that ICM is not going to matter very much between them. Yeah, it's going to be, they're going to have to play. They're going to have to start playing.
So your top three will be the two chip leaders and then Nikita, right?
Yeah, I'm always rooting for the girls to do well. I would love to see. It's always about cheering for the girls for me. I'm always excited to see them to do well, because, as poker is so much of a man-dominated sport, right? So for us, seeing somebody else that, they'll tell you that, oh, you were the inspiration for them to start playing, and they see them, how driven they've become, and, the amount of study and amount of passion they've put into the game, and they see the result of that. It really drives them to do better next time. It drives them to wanting to play more, and that's something that's really, really good to see.
Absolutely. And Nikita is a force to reckon with. I mean, if it's three-way with between the first two and Nikita, I don't know if I can actually pick one person over the other, because Nikita is one of the top players in India. I mean, it's not even it's not even close. Like, she's one of the best, absolute best out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to progress. And I think we should just go straight into the action and see how this final table plays out.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to seeing a girl going heads up against one of the boys.
Of course. That'll be a fun race. That'll be a fun final table.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we are back with the final table of the Highroller event for IOPC 2021. And like we were talking earlier, we are super excited to see what happens on the final table with the very fun stack sizes And I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching will have a complete learning experience just watching this final table play out, because we have a few of the top poker players from India battling it out for the high roller title at IOPC. And I can't even wait to get this started. Yeah, we are live with the final table. Let's take a quick look at the stacks here pretty quick. Okay, so we have Sriharsha, we are looking at the first hand right now of this final table, and just give me 1 second here. Selena, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just give me a second here, guys.
Well, since Samo is struggling a little bit with his audio, I've decided to jump back in and call out the action at this final table of the high roller. We've had a pretty interesting start so far. As Samo said, there are some mixed kind of stacks here, and so we should see a fair amount of interesting hands, pushes, shoves, aggression, not so much. At least by the short stacks, we should see them get their chips into the middle really quick.
Yes, I was actually surprised with the first hand that the two short stacks actually I had a chance to possibly get it in, and I actually saw the big blind end up folding a ace high. Just now there was a good chance for the short stack to shove as well, and they passed up on that opportunity.
Yeah, and the previous hand we also saw quads coming through pocket threes, which eventually became quads in the river. So yeah, some exciting hands to begin with, but the stacks are more or less the same. They haven't really progressed from the few hands that have already been played. And here we are once again.
We see a potato player here raising it up with 8-7 offsuit under the gun. He's coming as one of the bigger stacks, and we know that he's very capable. And with the under the gun position being the new button, he decides to raise it up with 8-7 offsuit.
Was enough to get the other three players out of the way, and it's now down to champion player, who's the shortest stack at the table at the moment. I beg your pardon, he's the second shortest stack at the table. Ace 8. This could be a shoving hand right here, I'm guessing. Selena, what do you think?
Okay.
Chickened away.
Okay, Pete, I'm back.
Welcome, Samo. Let's been discussing a few positions here.
Absolutely.
As, we have two players going into heads up. Strange play, Sagar Chaudhary versus Sriharsha playing as potato player.
Yes, I think Queen Rules 3 is such a board which I think Sriharsha bets all the time in the spot. I think it's fine for Sagar to fold, considering the fact that stacks are really shallow.
Yeah, it's going to be a hand that's going to hit. The board is going to hit the potato player's range a lot better than the big blind.
Yes, it's very interesting to see Nikita just folded king ten off from cutoff. What we were talking about yesterday. She knows that there's a lot of pressure which can be put by Sriharsha, and I think it's a correct fold from the cutoff. with king 10 off.
Yeah, with under normal circumstances, I could definitely see her raise it up there.
Yeah, correct.
I know, Selena, you're not very familiar with a lot of the players who are at this final table, but each one of them brings in a very, very impressive poker resume, to this final table. But I think that is something that will keep people a little bit wary of each other.
Yeah, I'm ready for the girls, so let's go.
All right, so I think champion player is going in right now for sure.
Yeah, so he likes the strategy of raising it up instead of putting his whole stack. We actually saw Poker Face folding ace high when that happened previously, the very first hand we saw. So it worked once again.
Okay.
Never really been sure about these pushes with just a few chips behind, but I'm guessing that's some sort of confidence move. I don't know.
I think they're committing themselves, but then they just don't want to go all in again.
So it's got annoying here, and Poker Face is doubled up.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty standard call. I mean, you just can't do much in that spot. Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing that even though Poker Face is doubled up, their stack is still less than what they began the final table with.
That is correct. Good champion player. Yep, he's going in again for sure. And what do you think? Nikita should be doing here? Should Nikita be calling off in the spot because considering it's under the gun and all that?
Yeah, like I definitely like a call. I feel like King Queen is actually really strong against a person who has to make a decision whether they shove this hand or pretty much have to go in blind the next hand.
Correct.
And the King Queen is going to be way ahead of that range.
Absolutely.
Now we're seeing Potato play here, raising it up again under the gun, and this time he actually has a decent holding. He's got pocket fives.
So in this spot, what do you think should be the calling range of the big blind in general, considering the fact that they're facing the chip leader? Do you just go tighter? I'm just talking about calling ranges. I'm not talking about range shoving. But do you actually go tighter, or you just play your standard ranges?
I think you just have to be tight. You have to wait for Poker Face to bust in this spot. I feel like Potato player is always going to be putting the he's going to be really putting the pressure on, right? It could go bet the flop, bet the turn, jam the river. Now, are you going to call him with top pair?
Absolutely.
Right?
No, yeah, you can't. Because,
and if the answer is if you are, go ahead and play. If you're not, there is no point.
Absolutely. Yeah. This could get interesting. Like, even if Nikita opens, I don't think Strange Play can just rip it in here in this spot because, I think because of the fact that Poker Face is too shallow.
Or he does choose to shove it all in and take down the blinds.
Yeah. I think Nikita's going to fold and Potato Player is just going to win it, but raising it up. Also, I think this with one short stack gone and the other one really short. I think. Oh, okay. Pick up the best stack
wow!
ever made. Pocket aces. Okay. Let's see what happens here.
Now this is a great situation for pocket aces because if he re-raises, it looks like he's kind of making some sort of play.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like there's spots where people would argue you should just call and then bust the player, so forth. But in this spot where you have pocket aces and you re-raise, like against a Potato player, like he can make a decision whether he wants to go for it or he decides that opponent actually does have a hand.
Absolutely. Yep. Now we're four-handed, and so right now I think things have settled down a little bit, and people have almost similar stacks, and and if you actually look at the stacks, the short stacks are one double away from being pretty much close to the chip leader. So I don't think even the chip leaders are really, or Potato player and Faucet player are really comfortable just doubling people up, and they're just going to have a more conservative line in this. They're going to take more conservative lines, yes.
Well, just to once again round up on the players who are remaining in this high roller final table, we've got Strange Play, that is Sagar Chaudhary. He's had a pretty good run in the FTS series that took place in November. You've also got Potato Player, who's Sriharsha Doddapaneni, who's had quite a few titles in his poker resume. Of course, Fawcett Failure, Shardul Parthasati, who's a coach at the Poker Boot Camp. So he's definitely got the chops. And rounding it off is Nikita Luther, Spartan Pro, and WSOP bracelet winner, in fact. So no dearth of talent, guys, at this Final Four stage.
Absolutely. Still a star-studded final table with top players and interesting seeding positions as well. I mean, if you look at seeds, I mean, Nikita really can't open her button very wide right now because, she's raising into the chip leader and, we can just be better very liberally considering there is still some amount of ICM pressure there. And on the other side, on Sriharsha's button, it is Nikita on the big blind. And, the same applies there as well. He can just open more liberally, where he won't face a lot of resistance.
Yeah, I don't think any of these plays is going to take it easy, no matter what their stack is at this point in time, because danger looks like a street.
And it's a lot of money they're paying for.
Of course. 23.5, little under 23.5 lakhs going the way of.
Yeah.
Here, I think I would like to see Nikita raising the button.
Mm-hmm.
She's got position on Potato Player in this hand. She has to, I would say she has to start playing a little bit, right? We've just kind of seen her shove the previous hand, but, she's folded like an ace-9 on the cutoff, so forth, four-handed. I think that, she is playing extremely tight because Strange Player do have less chips than her. But at the same time, I think that you still want to keep your stack with a contention to possibly, do well, get a heads up.
Of course. This will get interesting, but I don't think Sriharsha is ever folding this hand for sure.
Now, Potato Player has a nice looking hand here.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I think he's going to get. Oh, no. I thought he was just going to get there.
All right, so we see Strange Player actually doubling up there, and now Nikita Luther has become the shortest stack on the table.
Yeah, and I think that kind of liberates her. Trust me, now she just can play very, very her ideal strategy, and she doesn't have to really worry about ICM right now, where she's the shortest stack anyways. And I think now we can see her open a lot more hands in general. I think it's just going to go in.
Mm-hmm. Which is the correct play here.
Yep, of course. Yep. That's a fold. Fawcett Failure has been playing pretty snug, or probably he hasn't picked up a hand at all on this final table. And I think Fawcett Failure also has he has Nikita on his immediate left, and Sriharsha keeps opening pretty aggressively, and then he just can't really do much in the situation.
I quite like that play by Strange Play just now, where he linked to the A6, and Potato Player decided to raise it up with 8-2 offsuit, and then Strange Play came back with annoying, which forced Potato Player to fold.
Yeah.
It was really good because he's very aware of what kind of player potato player is.
Absolutely. I think these guys have played with each other for so long. They're gonna have notes. They're gonna have their database. The database, they run probably checked how the other person play on the database, and they probably have a lot of information on each of them already. So I think it's going to be who exploits the other after some point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use HUDs in general when you play, Selena?
So I was an online player before, I was sponsored and transitioned to pretty much playing live.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have not used HUD for, oh my goodness, like I don't know how many years. I will still be able to read the stats, but I don't really rely on it because, I felt like in the past where I have played it also misled me. So, because I just haven't been playing too much online, it's just something that I'm not used to anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8's open and 9-10 of spades call. I think ace can put a very small sizing there to probably get calls from some ace size. Yep. I'm probably denying equity. Nikita, I understand this folded ace-9 off. What do you think of that? When Sriharsha opened 8, the folded ace-9 off. Do you think she could have jammed for like 18, 17, 18 piece there?
Yeah, I think,
it's fine, I guess.
It is. It's that very borderline hand.
Absolutely.
Like ace-8 is the definite fold in that spot, I believe.
And
at ace-10, you're going in with it. Like ace-9, it's very
ace-9
exactly the cutoff, like the cutoff. Yeah. But I mean, like, I guess like this. She would know that which are the really aggressive players.
I think back in the day when I used to play, pocket sevens was that hand. Like, like this hand.
Yeah, I agree. 7s and 8s is kind of that borderline.
Pocket 8s is gone. Pocket 7s is that.
I think that it's very close because I hear some people talk about pocket 8s and pocket 9s.
Oh,
so
okay.
they'll move that range up a little bit because I think it does change if you're playing live and online. Okay, we know that online the ranges are much looser. Live, everybody plays a little bit tighter, and as you know, in Macau in live, people are even tighter. People are 3-betting, 4-betting. You're like, oh, they're making a move, and they're showing kings and aces, and I'm like, well, they're not really, are they? Yeah. So, the way I look at HUDs is that I do like it for multi-tabling. I think it's quite important because it's so hard to pay attention to so many tables at one time. So if you're playing like, Spartan Poker online tournaments and you're loading up a bunch of tables, or it's like one of those big Sundays, in order to play well overall, I think that you want to, have more information. And a lot of players, at the end of the day, they'll play 20 tournaments that day, maybe even 40, and then end up with like 1 or 2 final tables.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we see here, strange player actually picked up ace-7 offsuit and raised it on the button, and we actually see potato player shove it in the same hand but suited and taking down the hand right there.
In India, we don't call it a7 offsuit; we call it a7 double suited.
You get hit flush twice?
No, we call it double suited because we can make 2 flushes.
Yeah.
This actually happened in a live cash game in Goa. One guy makes a terrible play and gets there or something, and you called 6-4 off. You called a 3-bet with 6-4 off. So no, it was not off. It was double suited. I can make 2 flushes.
Actually, interestingly, still 4-set Fladia right there did not choose to play or 3-bet with his ace-8. He just folded to potato player's button raise. He's choosing to play a tighter line, even though he knows potato player is a relatively aggressive player.
Yeah.
Oh, we can see a confrontation here.
Yeah, it's a call. I think it's going to call for sure.
So small blind versus big blind here.
But yeah, I think you have to call for, I think 10, 12 bigs. I think you just have to call off.
For sure. And, Nikita has also shoved quite a bit in the past as well, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So this is almost the 3rd time that she's shoved all in from the small blind into the big.
Yes. Yeah, I think we can see possibly they're open for sure. And I think Sriharsha is going to defend. Yep. Check call.
Now, actually, both players has a slice of this flop.
Absolutely, yeah. And
yeah.
No.
Oh, that was very interesting. Both players checked the flop, didn't they?
Yeah, both will check.
Potato player here decides to bet the turn with 2 pairs.
Yes, and which can be good a lot of the time because you can have a lot of ace-highs, king high, some decent king highs.
Yeah, and in the event that play
it's
played, it's important that you don't want the player to be drawing for free as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a very interesting view. I want to see how Sriharsha reacts to this river in general. Because his turn calling range I think has a lot of ace-6 spades kind of hand. And I want to see how I think Sriharsha is just going for the bet fold here. Than the check call. I think he thinks there's just too much value to be gained by check and him bluff the ace of spade. And I think Sriharsha is just going for the bet fold here. Yeah.
Now we see forced failure is actually now the new chip leader on the table.
Yeah. He I think since the time when Strange Play doubled against Taylor, I think he is at a very slight chip lead. But I think now he's like the pretty much
back to the shorter stack again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikita Luther has doubled up to the second chips right now.
Yeah. And I think Nikita's gonna beat here for sure, right? With base game play hearts.
Yeah, so interesting enough, you see Strange Play here. Even though, he's the shortest stack on the table, he decides to raise it up with 10-7 suited under the gun. We all actually talk about how online under the gun position is like the new button.
Yeah, correct.
It's been that way for a while, so people's range under the gun to raise it up has been, very wide. 10-7, I don't know if that's in my range. Is that in your range too?
I'm not sure. I don't think I opened 10-7. I don't think I opened that wide. But then again, 4-handed. So I think
4-handed, right? So he's a cutoff now.
Yeah, cutoff is fine. But under the gun in general, I don't open.
Right. Yes.
But I think opening ranges have evolved a lot over the last, from the time I used to play tournaments professionally to now. Opening ranges have evolved a lot. Earlier, back in the day, when you're playing online, I still remember we used to open pretty wide, like in any queen, any suited queen, any suited queen. We used to do that, yeah. And open any suited king, any suited queen under the gun. But now I think the pre-flop ranges are much snuffed, and I think because of that, you make less mistakes post as well. Because, once you have your pre-flop sorted, I think post-flop becomes much easier.
Yeah, because, when one strategy is trending, somebody's going to come up with a counter strategy.
Absolutely.
Right? So it becomes a spot where, if somebody recognizes you're raising under the gun too much, they're going to be 3-betting you a lot as well, right? So you've got to come up with this. And then people start 4-betting under the gun, right?
Absolutely. No. And then back in the day, I don't know if you remember, the counters to 3-bets were always 4-bets. The flats were very little. Even hands like king queen suited or things like that. If you open, you get 3-bet, you probably want to 4-bet than to call. Remember, so the calling of 3-bets were not getting called that often back in the day, so that made 3-betting very profitable. But right now, I think 3-bets get called way more often.
Way more often, yeah.
People defend correctly against 3-bets. So I think right now, that's why the game, even if you see the live streams of all the major tournaments which happen, there's not much of light 4-betting happening like back in the day, you leave at a polarized range and just go with it kind of thing.
Yeah, so we actually see a raise from forced failure with ace-8 suited and a shovel in.
Yep.
And managed to take down pot there with.
Yep. And that's how Sriharsha Doddapaneni.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the money is going in for sure. I think he's just going to rip it in.
Oh, we're going for the limp again.
Yeah. I think he's just going to limp call. I think he's planning to limp call. So Sriharsha is going to, there you go. He's going to get it in for sure. And holds, and Sriharsha is almost equal in chips against Fawcett Bailey, and Strange plays the shorter stack now with about 5 bigs, 4.5 bigs.
I would actually like to shove the Jack-9 suited on the button as Strange in that spot. I think Jack-9 is a great hand on the button against 2 players where you're the shorter stack. Yeah. Fight. I want to see him fight. It's such a roller coaster ride sometimes when you're on the final table. You could go the chip leader to the shorter stack in like just a couple of hands, and it's not like you made any mistake whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? It's like you lose a flip, right? It can be so frustrating, and it's a very emotional roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it is. It's not like you could be playing for similar amounts of money in a cash game, and you probably wouldn't feel half the emotion these guys are feeling right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's just so much more, there is so much more glory associated with it.
It is. I think that's also why a lot of players transition to playing tournaments as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like that glory, holding the trophy, sometimes it's the money that comes with it doesn't matter, right? It's more like, yeah.
I mean, Randy, for example, was a pure cash game player, right? Back in the day. He only played cash, right? And then he now pretty much only plays tournaments.
Yeah, so for him, he just finds it a lot of fun. Do you know what I mean? Like cash game, you have your sessions, so forth, not much, changes, but then in terms of tournaments, like as the tournament progresses, the game itself changes. Absolutely. You make the final table, you're in the money. Now the dynamics and everything gets in. Like it's a really, really fun mental game.
Yes.
Yeah, and because you've been playing with the same players for hours on end, like it's also like, it's just so much fun. It's like kind of like a game of chess, right? Like, I know what you're thinking, so forth, right?
Yep. Okay, so Strange players going all in for four big blinds. What will be the bottom of your calling range here, Selena, in Nikita's spot?
I think that if I see this 9x suited, I'd be a bit more. I'd be inclined to probably call.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that like my whole card probably will be live, and it being suited is going to help a bit as well. But offsuit, I think I'm going to be letting it go like she did.
Okay.
I can't tell you my ranges.
I don't think I'll ever play tournament with you.
We're going to meet again on the felt, and he's like, "Oh, I remember."
Yeah, she's not going to call a lot.
All right, so we see Nikita actually putting in her stack with Queen 6 and I choose
Queen. Crowds have 4 big blind effective shove and
Yeah. Now, actually, in that spot, I would actually consider calling with Queen 8.
Mm.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, it's one of those hands that's like I said, it's that borderline.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, like Queen 10, you're like 100%. Yeah,
100% calling, yeah, for sure.
Like Queen 9, you're like, ooh, right? And then the Queen 8, you're like, ooh, like, finding the spot, right? So in this case, he's like, okay, I've got a few more hands to see before committing my stack. And he picks up Ace Jack here.
Yeah, and I think it's a pretty standard shove and a call, yeah.
All right, we see another double up.
I still remember when I took a break from tournaments and then finally went back to play one of the tournaments, one of the IPCs in Goa. The game had changed completely, and there's one spot where I shoved like 8 big blinds effective. Effective was 8. I had a big stack. I shoved from the small blind into the big blind and he folded. And I turned to one of the pros sitting next to me and said, "You still do this, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Thank God, at least one thing hasn't changed." I don't know what you guys do there. Like limp and I don't know, like min raise. Like there's a lot of limping which happened now. Like under the gun, early position, and all that. People limp a lot. Like people limp button and things like that. With like those middling hands.
Yeah, I think they're limp in order to call a raise and see a flop.
Correct.
Then they're going to be faced with a 3-bet, and now their hand is getting too expensive for them to see a flop.
True.
So
they did go to limp on.
Yeah. Now we see Potato Player now with a pretty dominating lead.
Yes, and I think it's just going to just like now Fawcett Failure will have to worry about the ICM and Nikita because there's like a real short stack on the table. So I think Fawcett player. I think Potato Player has like he pretty much can do whatever he wants on his button for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on the two guys behind him. He's going to be picking up a lot of lines that way.
Yeah, then Nikita or Fawcett can't do much of the spot anyways.
Yeah, sometimes like I find that when you have a final table draw, it almost determines who the winner is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So crucial.
Yes, and then and if you're talking about people with the same skill level, then it's all about the draw, like like we had, like we thought would happen, but Sriharsha just starting to put a lot of pressure. Yeah, it's going to be
interesting. Yeah, to see what Nikita does on the button with pocket twos, with a strange play sitting there, with such a short stack.
And Sriharsha on the big blind. I think she's going to let it go. Yeah, because she has like under 20 VV stat, and considering the fact, I think I would have let it go too. But what do you think? What do you think you would do with fives or sixes there?
5, 6s. I'm closing my eyes. I'm getting in. Now, there's also a different factor that I take into account. Like, how much does the money mean to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I ask myself that question. So if the buying is like, how we talked about the ACOP event, right?
Yeah.
So if the buying is that and you're on the final table with 4 left, then, that shove could cost you like, 50,000, right? Like something ridiculous amount of money, right?
Maybe, correct.
Yeah, right. But if you're playing a tournament that's like $100 buying, right? And then like say $300, but you have a chance to win a trophy, then I might weigh it up differently.
Yeah, correct. Oh, okay. This can be tricky.
This is tough, right? This is really tough for Nikita.
This is gonna be check back call.
And
the thing is, Sriharsha can just bet 100% of range of that board, 10-6-6.
Precisely, and the thing is, Nikita, she's not going to really think that Potato Player has a 6 in his range, unless it's like a 6. Yeah. So we see her get it in, and unfortunately, plus to 6-5 lawsuit. Yeah.
But no, well played, Nikita. I think she played very, very well. It's just unfortunate that he picked up a hand in that spot when she picked up top pair too. There you go. And like that, we are heads up.
Oh, wow. It's happening all so fast. We were 4-handed for a little while, and now we're straight away down to 2 players.
Yes, and we have Sriharsha with pretty much all the chips in play. And with more than 2-1 chip lead. He has almost he has a 3-1 chip lead. Let's see if Fawcett Failure can actually make a comeback. It's going to be interesting to see how, both of them are very good players. Both of Fawcett Failure is a poker coach. He coaches for tournaments. He is considered one of the best in India, and it's going to be fun to see how the guys play. Okay, so shall we limbs button with 10 of clubs? What do you think of this? Like yesterday, we spoke about how you played the Red Dragon final, where I understand on that table if you lift the hand because you want to play post flop, but here, what do you think that?
Well, I think that when you just go into heads up with a player, you want to try like all different things a little bit, right? If you lift the button, you want to see, okay, how does your opponent react to that, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to let you see a flop? is you got to raise it up, right? If he chooses to raise it up every time you limp, then you can start incorporating, I guess, stronger holdings in your limping range in order to shove over the top or, like just get more chips off him wherever it's possible, right? But if he's leaving you to play and see flops when you're in position, that's actually very advantageous for you. And, I want to be doing it all day, all night, if I could just limp the button and see flops and just play the guy in position.
Absolutely.
Now, the thing with tournaments is like, I bet you Nikita and like she'll be sitting there feeling devastated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
You go into all these tournaments and you have such high hopes. You just do. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to win tournament today. I'm going to win tournament today. Yeah.
Just give me a second here. Yeah, I think the players have struck a deal on the final table, and let's see what the deal is. Just give me a second here. I'm just pulling that up.
I like to see them put all the money for first.
Well, spoken like someone who's won 2. That's right, 2 Red Dragons.
Yeah.
I should have asked for that deal every time.
But I don't think she even gave him a deal. I think you won it all, right?
Sorry, no, I played everything. I played it. First heads up was 4 hours.
Yeah.
The second heads
The second one was longer. The Grandfather one was longer. I think so.
He got me 41 twice, 3 times, I believe. 41 in chips, 3 times. Yeah.
Oh, he was 4-1?
Well, he was a huge chip stack. He busted out everybody on the final table, and he had me 41 3 times, and I came back to win the tournament.
Oh, so guys, we have a deal. Sriharsha and Shardul have struck a deal, and this is the final table, or the final places, the payout for the final 6 players. Sriharsha gets 21,55,750. Shardul gets 17,44,000. Sagar gets 10,50,000. Nikita gets Anita Hassanandani gets 6 lakh.
Well, not bad for a day's work here at the IOPC Highroller event, won by Sriharsha, potato player Doddapaneni. One more feather to his quite impressive hat of several victories that he's had in the past. And here we have one more victory that he can add and be rightfully proud about, because that was a tough, quite star-studded, as Samo said earlier, quite a star-studded final table. Some of the best players from the Indian poker scene being a part of that final table of the Highroller. But 21 lakhs, not a bad payday. Selena, I'm sure you've been in the position yourself a few times. Are you generally leaning towards making a deal, or you just want to get it all and get it going? Of course, if you're in a chip lead position, I get that. But what if it's close and thereabouts the way these 2 guys were at?
I think that, in this instance, you really want to weigh up your opponent, right? If you think your opponent is on roughly the same level of, ability to you, then I don't mind a deal at all. Now, if you think that they're a much worse player, then I would never make a deal. That being said, obviously, if they have a huge chip lead against you and they offer you some ridiculous deal, then no, by all means take it. But in most spots where, especially like if you're roughly even in stack and you have so much edge over your opponent, I would say play it out, always play it out. Go for the glory.
Well, there you go, folks, hearing it from the mouth of quite the champion from the Asian, in fact, the global circuit, Selena Lin giving her thoughts on that particular deal that just took place. And yes, of course, when you have someone like Sriharsha who's done so well in not just India, but across the world in terms of the titles that he's won, in terms of the prizes that he's won, against a pretty good player in the form of Shardul, who's a poker coach himself. So definitely not a shoddy day's work as far as both these gentlemen are concerned. As far as this tournament, of course, it went by really quickly. Selena, what about the hands that we saw? It was a relatively short final table, of course, but any particular hand that struck you where you felt that someone made a mistake, maybe?
I wouldn't really say a mistake. It's more just a choice of choosing how tight you want to be on the final table, how much ICM would come into play. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe like the mid stacks raising it just a little bit around the time where, I felt like they kind of had to fight for a chance to, for the championship, right? Because like, to me, if you always like passing up on those spots, your stack is going to just dwindle. And if the short stacks survive for a really long time, just for example, they keep doubling up and, they keep chipping up a bit or in the spots that now you suddenly realize that instead of being 13 chips out of like 6 players, you're the bottom, you're the bottom 2, so forth. And now you have to fight for your stack. And, the thing is for me is like, I like to play without regret, right? So if you think that, okay, if I don't raise this hand and I'm going to regret it, then go ahead. I think you have to raise it because, in your mind, you're always replaying the hands, right? Sometimes you finish a tournament, you go to bed at night and you can't stop thinking about all these spots that you didn't take. And, you have these regrets like, oh, I think I should have done this. I should have done that, so forth. To me, play without regret, be well prepared. It's very important that you know your ranges, right? Because every player has a table of the ranges that they stick to. And sometimes you're unsure about something. If you have like that table that you're like, okay, I should do this, should do that, then you pretty much can play a whole entire tournament without doubting yourself. And I think that when doubt kicks in, that's the most, the biggest pitfall, I guess, for like a lot of poker players is that, once you start doubting yourself, your confidence goes down and your game changes a lot depending on how confident you are. And I think that, by having that table in front of you, so forth, it gives you that extra reassurance that you're doing it right and you're making the right place.
Well, that's pretty much the thoughts as far as our celebrity commentator is concerned. I'm going to keep teasing you and Randy just like that. Next few broadcasts. But I'm glad to announce that we have the winner of this Highroller tournament. We've got Sriharsha Doddapaneni online with us. Sriharsha, we're going to do this a little bit old-fashioned, so you're going to be speaking through my microphone. But congratulations, my friend. You have done extremely well. That was a fantastic title to score.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Thanks a lot.
So tell us, man, the first thing that me and several other people who want to know, because we're not that great a poker player like yourself and so many of the others on the final table today, what's the deal with the username, man? Potato Player, what's the deal with that? That's the burning question.
No, I mean, one of my friends called me, whenever we used to chill and all, we used to grind, and we went for WSOP in Vegas.
Uh-huh.
So, after the grind, we used to just chill on the couch. So, it's he used to call me potato, aloo and all. So, I'm like, okay, I'll just put it as, I just want to put some funny name. So, yeah, I just put it as a potato player. I mean, I just like changing names. So we have this option of changing your username, right?
Right.
Once per year. So I just like to put some funny name. Yeah.
Well, I bet anyone who was giggling at that point looking at your username isn't giggling anymore, considering you've just scored 20 plus lakhs for this particular win. So again, congratulations on that. It must be nice to get onto that final table with, I must admit, it was a slender chip lead, but a chip lead nonetheless entering this final table. Every one of these guys who you were playing, and of course, lady, that you were playing on this FT, they all have enviable poker resumes. Was there anyone in particular that you were a little bit more wary about, that you didn't want to tangle with too much off the bat?
I mean, not really. Like I always having chip lead is always my comfort zone. So I tend to put a lot of ICM pressure, and so I had a good stack coming to the final table. So I've been actually having playing very aggressive in the final 2-3 tables around the bubble as well. So I think players are kind of very to start with anyway. So I think that helped a little more, and people are playing very tight. So obviously Shardul is a good friend of mine. So he he has a big chip lead. I mean he's tied with chip lead. So and he's to my left, so he has direct position. Right. So yeah, I want to obviously avoid some getting into big pots with them. That's the only thing. Otherwise, yeah, Nikita obviously she's a really good player. So people can't do much with such heavy ICM. So it doesn't matter. Even they know I'm opening wide, they can't do much. So that's what ICM dictates. So yeah, I just made advantage of that, and the 8s all in was kind of crucial. So yeah, I'm just happy that.
Well, speaking of that, I'd like to revisit a comment that our co-commentator here, who's with me, Selina Lin, she basically made a point about the fact that you want to weigh how good or bad your opponent is when it comes to, three-way or heads-up for that matter. And then you take a decision on whether you want to go through with that deal or not. So clearly, you have a fair amount of respect for Shardul's capabilities.
I obviously respect Shardul a lot, but I don't really make deals in general. Even if I feel opponent, even if I consider someone really good, I generally like to play it out. I'm very confident of my heads-up game. But Shardul is very hardworking and a good friend of mine. Recently, we have been chilling a lot. He's also from Mumbai. So that is just with friends. I don't like to go for even that all go after every small EV. So I thought it's fine. It's a good sport. It's just a way of me complimenting him. So I just generally do deals with friends. If it's a good friend. So yeah, it's just that's the only reason. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Shardul as a player as well. So yeah, that's. Also, I think there is sit and go I get to play for. I think all the winners of all the events. So there is also that added EV there. I think so. Overall, I think it just balances out. I don't think I did him any favor or anything. So I think it's a fine deal. Yeah, I'm just happy for him.
That's damn cute, Sriharsha. Normally poker players are full of ego and hustle and bustle and all of that. So it's nice to hear that.
Obviously, if it's too much of difference, maybe even more. There is 8 lakhs difference, and even if you give even if you assume I have a heads up, obviously there's a lot of variance, especially when you're playing for 30 bits average stack. So even if I have 60, let's say 60-40, it's just 1.5 lakhs of fee that I give up. So not 1.5 lakhs. I don't know. It's not even a lakh. It's not much. And to add the SNG components, obviously I'll be paying for 5 lakhs on top, I think. So right. That's 50k in a 60-75k. So overall, I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I'm just fine doing these sports. It's fine.
Super. Before I let you go, Selina, do you have any questions that you would like to ask Sriharsha?
Do you normally raise 6-5 offsuit on the button?
You've been part of Indian poker scene, and you're always commentating for the Spartan Pro Nikita Luther and Anita Hassanandani. I have a lot of respect for both of you.
So Selina has a question for you, which she is very cheekily asked, which is, do you always raise with 5-6 offsuit at final tables, is what she's asking.
On the button.
On the button.
No, actually, it's kind of a great spot with I think the stage play is pretty short, and
Well, there you have it, folks. From the mouth of the champion to you guys. I just said that from the mouth of this high roller champion to all our viewers. That's pretty much the thoughts that we have here from Sriharsha Doddapaneni. Congratulations once again, Sriharsha, for your victory. And just to remind our viewers, the SNG that Sriharsha is referring to is the Masters table that will take place at the end of this series, where all the top winners will get together to play down that sit and go for a little bit more extra cookie money. So let's just look forward to that as well. Sriharsha, once again, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Congratulations. Have a fantastic evening ahead, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Bye. And there you have it, folks. Sriharsha Doddapaneni, the high roller winner here at the IOPC. He's done wonderfully well for himself. It's always good to get the chip lead and then, just hold it all the way right to the end and write that stack. I would like to thank our co-commentators here this evening, Sangeet Mohan, who's not with us at the moment, but who led pretty much all of the commentary, along with our other co-commentator, Selena Lin. Thank you so much, Selena, for joining us. And here we have the end of this live stream. Sriharsha Doddapaneni, winner of this IOPC 1 Pro guaranteed high roller event, taking home a little over 20 odd lakh rupees, which should be a nice little sleeping pill for him tonight. So we wish him all the best, and there's a lot more action coming up. So make sure that you stay tuned across all our social media channels. And of course, we'll bring you more of these live streams as we go along. From myself, Selena Lin, Sangeet Mohan, it's thank you and goodbye.